Hello, how's it going? So a lot of you guys have asked me to share how I got started in acting or how I got into the business or why I started acting, and I guess I will try to do that today. I always have trouble answering this question because I feel like so many different parts of my life sort of influenced the decisions and brought me to where I am today. One, I definitely didn't always know that I wanted to be an actor. I feel like some people are born and they're like, oh, I'm gonna be an actor, 100% I'm gonna be an actor. But yeah, I was one of those kids who always wanted to be something different. I feel like my dream career changed every year. I do know that when I was really little, my mom and dad would always tell me that I would run around the house with the fireplace cleaner, like that stick, holding it like a microphone and just singing around the house like, hi, today at school, this is what I did. And I would like sing them songs about my day at school, and I would tell them stories, and I would just be super dramatic about everything. And so they thought for sure I would grow up to be a singer or a performer of some sort. This is kind of what I looked like when I was little. And it's funny because all these photos, I recently sent them to my agent because I'm working on a movie where they needed some old photos of me. He emailed me back and was like, what more do you need to see than that kid wearing sunglasses posing for the camera to know your destiny? So I guess some people knew, my parents knew, even though they were against it. Anyway, so that's sort of me as a little kid. But then all the way through middle school, grade school, like high school, I really wanted to be a part of drama club or the theater groups, but I was way too shy and embarrassed to audition or to try. I think whenever I saw them post the flyers that said, you could audition to be a part of this play, like prepare a monologue, I was like, oh my God, that's so scary. I don't know how to prepare a monologue. I don't even know what a monologue is. So I got really scared. By the way, you shouldn't be scared of that. Just do it. It's not a big deal. You could just find any play, or you could just look up different monologues or just great speeches and just perform it. Say it as a story. So then let's fast forward. I'm trying to think what was the very first acting thing that I ever did. Oh, okay. It was this indie film. How did I get that indie film? Oh, okay. So sorry, I have to tell a little bit of another story to tell you how I booked my first job on this indie movie. So don't judge me, but when I was a freshman in college, I did a beauty pageant, and it was kind of a dare between my friends because I was such a tomboy. They were like, oh, you'd never be able to do that. I did it. I didn't trip and fall. I still can't believe I actually did it, but it was an interesting experience. I learned a lot. I won in Chicago and then ended up going to Korea for Miss Korea because of the pageant. Anyways, that's a whole nother story, but after all of that finished, I got my first opportunity to work on an independent movie. That happened in 2004. It was really, really hard because I'd never acted before. I'd never been on a set before. I'd never worked with a director or anything. And so the whole experience was so new and I was really scared. I remember there was like one day where he was like, do it different or not like that. And then I just like was really overwhelmed because I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to make choices. So that experience led me to start studying theater in college because I guess I kind of fell in love with the fact that it was so challenging and exciting and new. So then I started studying theater in college and taking all these acting classes, and I thought it was gonna be easy and I thought it was gonna be fun and an easy elective, but it ended up being one of my hardest classes because the thing I struggled the most with acting was being vulnerable and open and honest. I realized that sort of the way that I grew up, I was very much the type of person who never really expressed all my emotions, or I tried to be perfect. I tried not to get too mad or not to get, whatever. I feel like maybe it's sort of like the Asian culture, which is, don't make too much noise, don't rock the boat. So I think I had a really hard time just being vulnerable and real, and I think that's very important when it comes to acting. I remember my teacher used to talk about how we were like onions and we have to really like peel all the layers to get to the core, and he felt like my onion was covered by like bricks. So that was really fun now that I think about it. After studying theater and then graduating college, I graduated with a degree in psychology, so I didn't finish studying theater, and then I ended up going to Kenya. That's also another long story, but I went to Kenya. I was doing some volunteer work out there working with medical missionaries and a church, and then there was a doctor slash pastor out there who shared this amazing talk with me about joy. And it was sort of this 2-3 hour long talk that I'm gonna try to sum up into a sentence here. But basically, he was like, you have to figure out what brings you joy and happiness in life. Try to use that to do something good with it and find purpose in what you do with whatever skills you have. Basically, the point he was making was, he felt like my calling and my purpose in life was something different. And then we started having these talks and I realized I think I was scared to pursue acting or anything in entertainment, and I'd never even really thought of it because I just assumed it would be too hard, or that I wouldn't make it, or that it was not realistic. But I ended up flying back to Illinois where my family was living at the time, and I booked a one-way ticket to Los Angeles on August 22nd, 2007. It was probably the biggest decision I've ever made in my life. Everything from what I wear to what school I went to or what I studied was a lot of what my parents wanted or what people around me told me to do. I think my whole life I sort of followed people. I never really made choices for myself. So that was kind of the biggest choice I ever made, and it was really scary. But I'm really glad I did it because I moved out to LA, and then it was like years and years of struggles and crazy experiences, which is hard to share right now. But basically I moved out to LA. I found an apartment on Craigslist, had a crazy roommate. It was just nuts. But I guess it's that like struggling actor story. I feel like it's very similar to many people who are in this business, because sometimes you just have to take those risks. But I was working a lot of part-time jobs, saving up money to pay for a lot of different acting classes. I took tons of acting classes, from audition technique to camera studies, scene studies, Meisner, Stanislavski, a lot of different types of acting, because I wanted to find something that really fit me. I've sort of come to realize that acting is really different for everybody, and it's a different experience for everyone. So I mean, I started taking all these classes and studying, and then at the same time I was looking for indie films and student films, short films to audition for. And at the time, new media wasn't very big, and so I was auditioning for even short films on YouTube, which ended up being a huge door also, because that led me to my first YouTube film, which was with Ryan Higa and Wong Fu Productions, Agents of Secret Stuff. Those guys encouraged me to start my YouTube channel, which has kind of been existing for the last 9 years or so. And I believe once I put my reel together with footage from short films and indie films and different projects, I sent out my headshot and very sad resume to a handful of agents that I thought would be a good fit for me. Luckily, one emailed me back and said they wanted to meet me, so I went in, and I guess the rest is history. That agent really believed in me and was sort of the first and only agent I met, which is, I know, rare for most people. It really meant a lot that he believed in me, and I remember our first month together, I booked CSI New York, and that was my very first network job. That's actually when my parents were like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe you can do it. Because up until then, they were pretty against it, and I think that's 5 years into my career, and so it was really tough. And then there were slow seasons, auditions got really stale, going in audition after audition, rejection after rejection. I mean, years, I'm telling, years of pilot season and just so much rejection. I think there are so many times that I've quit. I've quit probably about 35 times. I can't even count how many times I've quit. But this business takes a lot of resilience. I will say there was one point when I was at a real low. I had a couple friends who are working actors recommend that I start studying improv, and so I started studying improv, and that really helped me kind of get excited about acting again. And I feel like it made me better overall as a performer, because it made me comfortable in my own skin, comfortable in different situations, and just faster on my feet. Improv is sort of yes, and so I think that helped a lot. And then I ended up booking Teen Wolf, and so Teen Wolf was also probably the biggest step in my career for TV. And so that is kind of how it all started. And I guess just to wrap this up, I would say for those of you guys who are interested in pursuing this business, I would say my number one advice is to study your craft, whatever it may be, whether it's acting or music or directing or screenwriting. If it's in the business, study it to the death. You have to be the best. You have to be your best for sure, because you never know too much. I mean, I'm still studying now, and I'm still getting coached, and I'm still doing private coaching, and I'm still learning even though I'm working. You have to take a career seriously. Even professional NBA players still get coached and still train and still practice. And so I feel like working on your craft is super important. And two, I would say make your own opportunities as well. Nowadays with new media and YouTube and just different platforms, there's so many ways to sort of produce content, and it's not that hard or expensive to do. You just gotta get a camera, or if you have a phone, you have a video application on it, and most computers have a video editing app, so it's not that hard. And then three, I would say don't give up, and try not to have a backup plan. I would say if you're going to go into the business, you've just gotta be committed 100%, because there is a ton of rejection, a lot of no's, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. Oh, and the fourth thing, the last thing I will say is do not do it if your goal is for fame and money, because I promise you it won't be worth it. The money isn't really as great as people think it is. It's a very, very, very small percentile that makes the millions and billions of dollars. Everybody else is struggling. The fame is so fleeting. You could be famous 1 second and be nobody the next. And I promise you, if you find your worth and value in fame and riches, you will never ever be happy because it'll never be enough. You might think making $500,000 will be your biggest dream ever, but I promise you, if you get to that point, then you're gonna say it's not enough. You're gonna want more, and you're gonna want more and more and more. It's always how it is. Same with fame. I'm sure with social media, you guys feel that. I have friends who used to joke and be like, oh, I was so happy when I get like 10 likes, but now that I get 100, if I don't get 100 likes, I feel so sad. Anyways, now this video is becoming something totally different, but I'm gonna stop because I think this is like a 1 hour long video. Anyways, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this helped and answered some questions if you guys are curious. But yeah, maybe I'll do a part 2 and continue more into some stories and other details. If you guys have questions, feel free to leave your comments below if there's anything you want me to elaborate on or share with you guys next time. Thank you.